We didn't scrimp on width, height, or length since the functionality I'm about to describe fits in a smaller footprint than the F-150, the most popular pickup truck in the US. The main modification to the design is this. An exoskeleton was made and the mass was shifted outside. The results of the Cybertruck crash test are shocking for unanticipated reasons. Well, where even do I begin with the Tesla Cybertruck? It resembles opening a can of worms only to discover a roller coaster within. Imagine this. Elon Musk's company, Tesla, releases a teaser that is essentially the movie version of a cliffhanger. A crash test that keeps you in suspense until the very end while revealing nothing. It's a classic Musk move, like bracing for an untimely sneeze. The internet then went into full investigation mode when Tesla eventually revealed the crash test findings at the Cybertruck delivery event. Everyone who had ever binge-watched a season of Mythbusters seemed to have overnight become an authority on car safety. The conclusion is that the Cybertruck's design appears to be unworkable, with criticism flying in the direction of the popcorn kernel in hot oil. Is that actually the case, though? Let's investigate. The first complaint is that this beast of a car managed to transform what appeared to be a regular test into a forceful and dramatic display by taking on an immovable object at a leisurely 35 miles per hour. The story hinted to a rear axle bending in the middle of the test, leaving viewers stunned. Online users' general response: this can't be the design for trucks to come, can it? Concealed behind a level of incredulity typically found in soap opera story turns. There's a storyline twist, though. Things become interesting when you put the Cybertruck up against the F-150, a safety titan. This is a more realistic comparison by contrasting it with the F-150, one of the safest pickups available on the market. The matchup now appears to be more of an eye-opening discovery that maybe, just maybe, the Cybertruck can roll with the best of them rather than a heavyweight as a lightweight. As the dust settled, a more accurate comparison surfaced, placing the Cybertruck next to vehicles similar to the Ford F-150 Lightning. All of a sudden, the contrasts between day and night in their crash tests became less pronounced and more akin to night and dusk. Which car would you want to be in during a T-bone? Both had their moments, but the Cybertruck, in all its gruff splendor, seemed to shrug off side impacts like a seasoned fighter. This leads into a more general discussion on the immense mass and power of these contemporary chariots. The Cybertruck is the perfect example of the trend towards massive vehicles. It can go from 0 to 60 miles per hour faster than you can post a heated criticism on Twitter. It seems like a competition to see which car can scare people the most, and the Cybertruck shows up as the winner. The fact that there is more at stake in the Cybertruck controversy than just the safety record of one particular car is, however, extremely enlightening. Cybertruck safety is called into question, but he's right when he says that comparative testing might be deceptive about what's inside. This expert's video shows it side by side with other vehicles that, according to him, have real crumple zones. It's not simply that someone neglected to use the pool skimmer that makes things murky here. A twist exists. The Cybertruck is prepared to demonstrate its mettle in the safety Olympics, just like it is at the starting blocks. Not everybody is applauding from the sidelines. And so we are, observing the Cybertruck do a circuit around the "Is it safe?" course. Armed with their keyboards and a healthy dose of skepticism, the critics are out in full force. The body made of stainless steel is so robust that an impact will not cause it to collapse correctly, directing the forces directly onto the persons within. That's the main criticism leveled at the Cybertruck, implying that it shouldn't have crumple zones for safety reasons. The Cybertruck, with its armored shell and futuristic look, quickly came under fire for alleged safety flaws. On the other hand, it's like witnessing a narrative twist materialize in real time when you align it for a fair fight and compare crumple zones with the F-150. The comment, "I am not seeing a big difference in the crumple zone between these two," makes you take notice and reconsider the story that has been developing around the safety of the Cybertruck. It turns out that the Cybertruck against F-150 fight is more than simply a comparative analysis. It's a moment of truth that refutes the criticisms. The Cybertruck appeared to be responding to its detractors, by saying, "You think I can't handle a little rough and tumble? Please hold my beer." This head-to-head with the F-150 highlights the significance of not just accepting safety criticisms at face value, but also of probing further to find the true score. The side impact testing are where you will start to see a greater difference, though. This 3100 cart is traveling at over 40 miles per hour, mimicking the effect of someone running a red light at an intersection in a T-bone collision. In addition, the Cybertruck's extremely low center of gravity and weight allow it to stay perfectly planted, and aside from the airbags going off, it appears as though it may perhaps drive away. To begin with, picture this: a 40 miles per hour T-bone collision, the kind that makes you shudder just thinking about it. The Cybertruck now stands in one corner, seeming as though it was taken straight out of a science fiction film set. And in the other, well, let's just say that it's the kind of collision that really puts a car's materials to the test. With its heavy weight and low center of gravity, the Cybertruck glides through a rough area like a pro on ice skates. It remains as sensible as a teenager who has missed curfew. And here's the thing, it might actually decide to leave the situation. "Is that all you got?" the Cybertruck would ask if cars could talk. But there's still more. You see, it's important to keep in mind that hitting an immovable object in a crash test is essentially the end of the road, even though the front crash test appears to be taken from a demolition derby highlight reel. The ultimate what if is what keeps designers of automobiles up at night. The Cybertruck, on the other hand, is so well designed for safety that you can't help but wonder if it's hiding a superhero cape somewhere. Despite its tough, futuristic exterior, the Cybertruck adheres to the fundamental rule of vehicle design: safety comes first. It's like discovering that the person who makes sure you get home safely after a party is also the tough guy at school. The rear axle snapping in the front crash test is the one item that cannot be forgiven, though. However, in actuality, it is devoid of one. We spotted the Cybertruck towing during the crash, which is likely because it has no axle connecting the back wheels and employs rear wheel steering instead. The way the plot twists in this section is as shocking as learning that your GPS has been making fun of you by circling you. The lowdown: there was a point in the front crash test that had everyone looking twice. It said that the rear axle can break in half, which sounds as terrifying as discovering, while driving away, that your coffee was left on the roof of your car. However, the Cybertruck responds, "You're kidding me. I don't even have a rear axle that connects the back wheels." That's correct, people. The Cybertruck replaced the conventional back axle with a more modern configuration, rendering the entire scenario of the snapping as absurd as a snowman in the Sahara. Let's now actually shift gears to a larger picture. Trucks have been getting bigger. The Cybertruck has joined the heavyweight champions gym. They are becoming larger, heavier, and, implicitly, more like the kind of road colossus that gives tiny automobiles the willies. It seems as though the automotive industry has come to the realization that size matters, expanding the definition of what a truck can be on modern highways. There is a drawback to this gigantism trend, though. It's making them more and more hazardous to everyone in their vicinity. And while people who live in regions of the world with rigorous pedestrian safety regulations may find these monstrosities savage, the US has a huge market for them. Because they desire the biggest, baddest object on the road, even those who have no purpose for a truck will buy them. And trucks, believe me when I say that they are omnipresent. This time, we're focusing on how this futuristic marvel is practically taking people by surprise with its bold performance, power, and prestige combination, just like wearing sunglasses at night. Though it appears to have been designed by a child who loves science fiction and has access to a ruler, the Cybertruck is gaining popularity in the US quicker than you can say 0 to 60. Yes, people, this is more than just a truck. It's a moving status symbol that allows you to yell, "Look at me," from rooftops or, well, the highways. It's like having a tax filing superhero cape that's also bulletproof. Speaking of speed, here are some figures that would make even the most streamlined sports vehicles blush. With a speed of 2.6 seconds from 0 to 60 miles per hour, the Cybertruck isn't just raising the standard, it's taking it into orbit. It is a dangerous vehicle just based on this attribute. With its angular, post-apocalyptic elegance, the Cybertruck isn't only about traveling from point A to point B. It's also about destroying the alphabet with such style and force that you'll forget there are other letters. How this monster of a metal has become as American as apple pie, with a twist, is what's really intriguing. It appears as though Tesla glanced at the traditional truck playbook, shook its head, and hurled it out of the window at breakneck speed. Remember, I was thinking to myself, I can't believe a car with this much acceleration doesn't require a special license to drive, because it's frightening how much danger you can get into if you're not experienced, or if you press the accelerator pedal a little too long. The short version is that the Cybertruck can accelerate from 0 to 60 miles per hour, mph, faster than you can say, "Whoa, slow down there, buddy." The fact that this beast can launch itself into action with only a small pedal push can be a double-edged sword, particularly for individuals who aren't yet ready to handle Excalibur. If this electric Titan's driver had more Mario Kart driving expertise than Mario Andretti, imagine the possible dangerous scenarios that could arise, like texting while juggling chainsaws. Here's a statistic that will make you sit up straighter than a vigilant meerkat. Research indicates that 16,000 crashes in the US are thought to be caused by misapplied pedals annually. Give that some thought. That's almost 44 accidents every day, a figure as depressing as a cold shower. Even have features built into the car's software that will cause it to stop if it senses that the accelerator pedal is being misused, which has undoubtedly already saved many lives. However, because we are human, we will always find a way. Naturally, Tesla, in its wisdom, built safety mechanisms into the Cybertruck that function as a kind of guardian angel and are intended to prevent the accelerator pedal from being accidentally depressed. With this technological miracle, Tesla is able to gently place a hand on the driver's shoulder and reassure them that they are not alone in their vehicle. Rather, it is a chariot of progress rather than a destructive missile. Let's not ignore the obvious, though. Giving novice drivers the keys to a vehicle with such immense power raises as many red flags as letting a kid use a paintbrush next to a white couch. One way to look at it is the pure appeal of being in control of a car that can take off like a superpowered superhero. The sobering responsibility that comes with using such power is the flip side of it. The safety features offered by Tesla provide witness to the company's dedication to not only spearheading innovation, but also guaranteeing a journey that is both thrilling and safe. The debate over whether it makes sense to give pilots of such a vehicle more excitement than skill goes beyond simple gatekeeping to include making sure that the transportation revolution doesn't outstrip our capacity for adaptation and respect for the power at our disposal. This conversation challenges us to think about how we strike a balance between the excitement of the novel and the wisdom of moderation. It treads carefully on the edge between innovation and prudence. The same folks who first purchased those enormous, pointless trucks when all they do is drop their children off at school or visit the grocery store are also the ones who are organizing the Cybertruck. Europeans are exempt from this, because it is extremely unlikely to pass your stringent pedestrian impact testing. I doubt you will ever see one on the roads. Now let's move this conversation about Cybertruck closer to its end. But first, let's quickly go across to Europe on the other side of the Atlantic. Imagine this now, Europe's charming streets, those winding, little lanes paved with history, might not exactly throw open their arms to our massive Cybertruck. Similar to trying to fit a square peg into a round hole, our Cybertruck is unquestionably the square peg, and stringent pedestrian impact testing in Europe is the round hole. When we zoom out, the larger picture becomes clearer. It's not only about the Cybertruck's possible European vacation being cut short, it's also a recognition of the fact that all trucks, including our Cybertruck, bring with them a set of safety risks that cannot be disregarded, regardless of their zip code. It's similar to having a pet dragon in that, although adorable, you have to consider the fire-breathing aspect. The conclusion of this crazy journey is thus rather obvious. The Cybertruck is a miracle and a prime example of what occurs when you dream in steel and voltage. However, this story also has a moral, just like every good one. It's about striking a balance between safety and power, creativity and accountability, and aspirations and reality. even if we adore the notion of the Cybertruck altering that. Nevertheless, we also need to make sure that while we accelerate towards the future, we're doing it in a way that keeps everyone safe by keeping our hands on the wheel and our eyes on the road. Whether we're driving down the highway in a truck that looks like it was made on Mars or strolling through the streets of Europe, the best advancement is ultimately the type that we can all participate in.